Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, your daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to our show. Welcome, everybody. Good morning, Kaustubha. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Raghu. It's great to be here with you. Looking forward to today's show.
It's going to be a good show today, and, today's Thursday. And we have special guests this weekend. Friday, we have Sunday, we have Satchidananda Swami. Incredible, deep, grounded, and blissful. You know what I like about people who really live this stuff? They just naturally are blissful people.
Yeah.
It's just because we are blissful. That's the essence of our philosophy, is that we're blissful beings. We're joyous beings. That doesn't mean you're just walking around, stumbling around the streets, giggling. But it could be. But it means in a deep down, you're not worried about the ups and downs of the material world. That's what samadhi is. Samadhi is you are focused, you are drawn within what you essentially are. And you're not disturbed by the sukha and the dukkha of the material realm.
What's the sukha and the dukkha?
Sukha and dukkha, the happiness and the distress. The whole world's collectively in a little bit of dukkha right now.
Yeah.
We're sort of duking it out with the material world right now. It's very precarious. And me and my wife is like, we've got to make some plans. And I was like, how can we make any plans? We can't make any plans. Krishna is keeping us, or the universe, or what do you want to call it, is keeping us like right here in the now. You can make one plan. Today, I'm going to read the Bhagavatam. I'm going to chant the holy name. It's hard to make any more plans than that. I'm trying my best to make a plan. You know what I'm talking about?
I guess so. Like, in other words,
traveling,
in terms of travel and setting
everything,
up retreats,
certain things
like
we have to make a plan for. But
yeah,
and truthfully, it's sort of how we should be looking at the world at all times. Is you really got to focus on our life today and our spiritual life today.
Okay. Well, here's
Please.
I was gonna say here's a plan, because you're mentioning guests.
Yeah.
So plan for next Tuesday, next Thursday, to set a little time aside from 1 p.m.
Eastern time?
Daylight Time to 2:30 p.m. Because we'll have a very special guest for our Patreon subscribers, Madhu.
Oh, cool. If you are not a Patreon party person, join the Patreon party. Madhu is great, and he's going to give 2 classes for our Patreon members. He's one of our teachers, lead teachers at our 300-hour training. We have the Super Soul Academy in January, if you don't know about it, in India at Raghunath Swami's incredible eco village. That's the backdrop for all this.
India, yeah.
And a bunch of you have been with us. We do a 300-hour training there. Kaustubha, Doyle, and myself, we did this wisdom training as well. They're overlapped, all these trainings. They're all going on simultaneously.
Kirtan Academy.
And the Kirtan Academy led by Madhu. And this year he's done the Kirtan Academy only for half the time. And he's doing an Ayurvedic wellness immersion for your own practical life. And he is one of these guys, excellent teacher. Some people are just good at things. Some people are good at things and they can explain it to others very lucidly. He's one of these persons. He's born to teach. And anyone who meets him admits that. So what's his course is going to be on? You talked to him last night?
Yeah. So on Tuesday, he's going to do an introduction to Kirtan. And on Thursday, he's going to do an introduction to Ayurveda, both of which he's expert in. And I see that
Nice.
Zoe Archer is saying, oh, no, I'll be working at the hospital both those days. Well, they will be recorded, and the recordings will also be there for you when you get home.
Yeah, they're going to stay on Patreon.
Or maybe not when you get home, but they'll be
Patreon.
up there like the next day or something like that.
Yeah. There's always
But
little
he's
bit of
a
lag.
charismatic little guy, you know. He's guy's full of life.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy. He makes you, he lives, he's one of those guys, grew up a devotee, you know, chanting the holy name since birth. Special birth. It's a special birth to be growing up in a household where everybody's chanting and singing, you know.
Yeah.
I might have to do a do-over. Take birth. Might have to do. Who am I kidding? I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I got to do some more time, I think.
Someone wrote to me a very humble message yesterday, and they said, if I move like this, you can see that the fruit bowl that I have back there is empty. Now, I've been getting a lot of mail about the fruit bowl.
Kaustubha's
Right
fruit bowl.
there.
Yeah.
See, it's empty today.
Please send Kaustubha fruit. He's desperate over there.
No, but you'll see by the end, by tomorrow morning, it'll be full again. But there's like a fruit bowl watch going on out there. So this person wrote, they wrote, if I had a choice to be born in the heavens where there's great, paradisical. I don't know if that was the word, enjoyment in paradise. Paradisical. If I had the choice to be born in the higher planets where I'm enjoying, in paradise like this, or to be born as a fruit fly in Kaustubha's fruit bowl where I could hear Bhagavatam every morning with wisdom of the sages, I would choose the fruit fly. Okay.
It's a very evolved. It's like the Gunga Stotram. They say they'd rather be born as what's that verse from the Gunga Stotram, Mara, that we chant? Better to be like a very low-born person or some animal living by the sides of the Ganges than to be a king living far away from the Ganges.
There you go.
Yeah, I want to be your fruit fly too, Kaustubha.
I'll be your fruit fly.
By the way, I'm getting so many good questions. It's like I don't even know how we're going to even do question day. The questions are so good.
Occasionally, you have to bring one into the show. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, occasionally we have to bring one. And somebody asked a great one. I mean, we had a good one on sexuality. Got to answer that one. That's the whole thing. But we can't do that today. And then a great one about someone lived in an ashram and the guru fell down. That was a great question. And I'm going to try to do that question day. These are important questions. But someone asked a very practical one on chanting that I thought was worth going into today, if you don't mind, Kaustubha. Right. Kaustubha always has a whole plan of the show. At the last minute, I was like, but wait, we got to say a question.
It's not much of a plan, actually. So ask away.
All right. So about chanting, and I tell you, we encourage people who are on Zoom, especially, to be chanting japa. Now, a lot of you on Zoom had no idea about that criteria, but yes, this is our little bait and switch. If you're listening on Zoom, get some beads, get some malas, and chant at least one round of japa. We've got about how many people? 127 today. Actually, 127 people chanting japa. And all you have to do simply is hold those beads, place them in your thumb and middle finger, and chant one Mahamantra on each bead. Now, I said easily, right? Yeah, it's very simple. All you got to do is chant one mantra on each bead. And this is a form of sonic meditation. Try to be as still as you can and hear that name. Sounds simple enough? Wrong. Incredibly difficult. Why? Because our mind tends to be all over the place. And as soon as I say, concentrate your mind on this sound, the mind's going to go, okay, Hare Krishna, Hare dinner, lunchy, lunchy, lunchy foodie, right? I say food, but it goes to every other thought in the brain. You know, sexy, lunchy, where's the kidsies? You know, whatever it is, the brain is all over town. So to hold the mind is so difficult. And then you got to do it like a heartfelt prayer.
Hold it, bro. What was the question?
I didn't get there yet.
Oh, okay.
This was
sounds like you're answering it already.
Well, let's see these questions.
Okay.
How loud does it have to be? Can you whisper it to yourself, or do you actually have to be at a speaking voice? what if you're in public and basically thinking, meditating to yourself? Is that okay? There's actually 3 answers to that. One is you could say it silently in your mind. Do you ever do it silently in your mind, Kaustubha?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, sometimes I do that. I just breathe it.
Yeah, generally, it's good to do it out loud because it engages the hearing, which is going to make it easier to engage the mind.
Yeah, because
But if I'm in
oftentimes,
public, I might also do it silently too.
that's why I like people like Paramananda, who's aloof to public opinion. He's just walking around, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Take this guy on tour. He's just like walking around the streets, chanting loud. He knows it. There's certainly a beauty about a fearlessness to just wander around chanting the holy name, where people think, who's this person with their hand wrapped up in a purple silk wrapping? Okay, so yeah, you can chant really loud too. You Hare Krishna, you can. It's also a little crazy, but chanting it. The idea is chant it so you hear it. Sometimes I chant it quietly, but then I'll have to go Hare Krishna just to wake up my lazy old mind. Like whatever you need to do. If you need to go inside, keep it quiet. If you need to say a little audibly, do that. If you want to go loud, anyway, but you have to hear it. Don't let the mind go away. Okay, I'm going to ask this to Kaustubha. Kaustubha, should I do anything before the 108 mantras? I like to follow it with a 10 minutes or so of silent meditation. I thought I read about an invocation or a prayer to be recited.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, you can recite prayers. There are different things that people do before puja, before meditation. Sometimes they do achmana, which means you chant mantra into this water and drink it for like internal purification. Sometimes people do a little pranayama because they want to settle the mind down, or even a simple thing like you sit down and you bring your attention to your breath for even just a few breaths can kind of like, okay, you want to leave behind the past. You want to leave behind the future because the mind tends to get absorbed in the past and the future. So when you're chanting, you want to be right in that moment. So try to consciously, I'm going to let go of the past. I'm not going to think about that right now. I'm going to let go of the future. I'm not going to go there. Taking a few breaths, bringing your mind to the breath for a moment can help one kind of step out of that. So all those things are helpful. Reading nice verses is an excellent, thing to do. And there are whole books about verses that are just glorifying the names of the mantras, the names of Krishna, these different mantras. So you can bring your mind to those, and that can help set them, get your mind set for what you're trying to do. So those are nice things.
I had a sadhu at Govardhan grab me once. And even though I've been chanting for, decades, he grabbed me and started instructing me on how to chant. So I was like, all right, I'm going to just shut up and listen to him. And he said, sit first. Place your hands on your heart and invite Radha and Krishna to sit on the throne of your heart, and then offer the mantra to them. Isn't that nice?
Beautiful. Whoever asked this question, please tune in Sunday, because Satyananda Swami. What I think will especially be highlighted with him is this is a person that's very much focus on the internal life and helping people access that internal life, and especially around chanting japa. So he'll be a great person to listen to for these topics.
Sure.
I want to highlight his book, The Living Name. That's his latest book, The Living Name. It's an excellent, beautiful book. And,
good book to read for chanting and before chanting too. Yeah,
you'll get so much inspiration from that book. So.
Okay, there's more chanting questions here. My mala is a simple bracelet with 108 sandalwood beads. Is it imperative to have a separate mala bag set up? 108 bracelet. That's a pretty big bracelet. How big is this guy's wrist?
I don't think it's going around just one time, Raghunath. I think maybe
okay, well, some people have these things that are just like 16 beads or something like that.
I thought you were going to say some people have like swollen wrists or something.
Swollen wrists. They just
elephantitis or something. It's not imperative, no.
No.
But it's nice to have a set of beads that you have a certain reverence for. But no.
You see some people don't have bead bags, but the idea is you don't want to keep them on them. Some people keep them on their yoga mat. I'm teaching yoga and someone's got their malas. Don't keep your beads on your yoga mat.
Yeah,
keep them clean. Keep that honor. Keep them clean. You know, in the old days, ever see those yogis with those yoga dundas? They're these little mini, like a foot and a
Armrests?
half long, they look like a little cane for a dwarf. It's just like this, can you say dwarf? It's a little person. A little cane for a dwarf. But they're not. They just hold your wrist, and you sit there with your thing, and they hold your wrist, and the beads don't hit the ground. I'm trying to do this into my camera, but
That's what that thing is.
Did you ever see that? They sit there, they hold their wrist up. No, it also changes the prana flow. They keep it in their armpit, and it changes the prana flow from one nostril to the other. They're called yoga dundas.
Okay.
It's a very interesting thing. And then some sadhus have those old school sock-looking bead bags.
Well,
I want to bring those back.
I have a winter one like that. You've seen it before,
Yeah,
right?
but that's your own beautiful creative concoction. Your winter bead bag you made.
What it is. It's like a sock thing you're saying, right?
I know, but I love those. Yeah, I mean, you made a fruit. You got to show your bead bag one day. It's quite impressive.
I can get it right now.
But these are ones that look like a sock. I want to bring those back.
Okay, bring them back.
But yeah, you don't need a bead bag. It's nice to keep them clean. And what happens if you get interrupted? This is a good one. During your 108 malas, 108 mantras, should you start over? What do you do, Kaustubha?
Yeah. You want an honest answer?
I don't want your honest answer.
You know, I remember at some point being trained to start over, but I do that sometimes. I generally only do that if I get interrupted for a long time, you know, right. Or if I just feel like I'm out of it, I'm not focused, I might go back and start over. But a lot of times I'll just pick up there too, you know.
Yeah, because Janeshwar, you know, my assistant in India, he always starts over. If you talk to him, I feel bad because I'm always like, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay, starting over again.
106, 100, what? Raghunath interrupts again. Does that sound like a Namrasa meme or something like that?
106.
Then Raghunath sticks his face in.
Hey, what's going on, man? No. Yeah, don't roommate with me in India. Okay, should you sit in meditation while chanting, or can you walk, drive, etc.?
Yeah, well, traditionally sitting in meditation, that's the classic way to do it. But driving, no. Walking, perhaps, you know.
How about playing chess with your kids? That's one of my famous
I don't think that's
meditational position, playing chess. Chess, japa.
Only in between moves. While they're moving, you can chant.
Well, when you got kids, your standard tends to lower. It goes to driving. Not the best, but not bad.
Well, if you got
I'm not recommending it. Kaustubha's going to give you the high standard. Kaustubha's going to give what's real.
Yeah.
No, Kaustubha's going to give what's ideal. I'm going to give what's sort of real. You know, I chant japa and play chess. It's not my preferred. My preferred is I'm chanting before the show. I'm chanting right after the show, before like the whole household becomes because it goes there quick. I'll go for a walk. Kaustubha will come over. We'll go for a walk in the woods. You know, once I do it after 10 o'clock, I'm a little screwed unless I get out like in the later part of the day. Busy part of the day, I'm dead. So I like early. But you're a walker, Kaustubha?
With the show, I usually don't get my japa done early, or at least certainly not all of it early in the morning. And a lot of times it's a nature walk for me, you know.
Mara, what do you do?
But I'll be honest, I'm not thrilled with that standard. And I'd have to improve it.
After the show?
After the show, and also just being outside, it can be distracting too. So,
truthfully, I think it's different types. Because if I sit still, not good for me. I find I'm one of these guys, like I can do more things when there's like some type of busyness around. Believe it or not. What do you think about that? Am I just making an excuse?
Prabhupada said if you're feeling tired, you can get up and walk like I do. He said that at one point.
I think ideally I like to pace back and forth.
Yeah. Well, you know, ultimately,
if I go for a walk, I'm looking around also.
This is what I do, what I try to do. And this is advice I give to a lot of people. I consider that name, I have faith that the mantra is pure spiritual energy. It's not different from Krishna. When my mind is absorbed in it, it's powerfully purifying my mind. So when I chant, it's like I'm taking a shower in that sound, right? It's just like it's pouring down on me. Just let that name pour down on me. Just chant, just keep repeating it, keep hearing it, keep repeating it, keep hearing it. Don't worry about what I'm supposed to be thinking about or anything. And in this one sense, I can do that outside. I can do that in public. I can just like let it wash over me. Just keep letting it wash over me. That's how I.
This is like a Rumi poem. Who are you?
Rumi poem.
That was beautiful. Bathing in the holy name.
That's what I do. You know, that's how I especially think, how I try to think about it. Just let the sound, just let it keep pouring over me, and be aware of it as I'm doing it. That's what I try to do.
That was my wife said, Prabhu, you haven't bathed in many days. I was like, I've been bathing in the holy name.
You haven't bathed in many
joking.
days?
I'm joking. I'm bathing in the holy name. What are you kidding?
Okay.
Mara, do you chant and walk?
Yeah, I chant and drive sometimes too. Sorry, Kaustubha.
No, I'm doing it myself. I'm with you.
You don't even have a car. What are you talking about?
Oh, did you say driving? I thought you said walking.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, the driving.
She chants.
I'm not going to let you slide on that one.
You've got one of these special winter bead bags. She's got one with a spoon coming out of it, like a wooden ladle. She's got a special knife bead bag, spatula bead bag.
Okay.
And a ladle bead bag. All right, let's start. Bart, those were good questions. Interchangeable.
We've gone as far as we can go without Raghunath completely losing it.
I apologize. Pull it in.
Okay. Pull it in, Raghu. We've got important verses covered.
Let's do the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
This is all the Bhagavatam. You need to understand the stuff. Dedicate a little time for chanting. If you don't, chant one great round. Chant one great round today, people. Sorry about that. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our means of conquest, one should first offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta priyeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So thanks to Chris who asked those questions, by the way. Appreciate it. Chris.
All right.
Okay. All right. So we are on Canto 1, Chapter 11, Text 35.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. You know what I was thinking? So we read 35 yesterday, but let's just, and I think this might be a good idea in the future too. Like text 35 through 39 just kind of wraps up the chapter. It's like a section in itself. Let's just read those verses together so we get the flow. And then let's go back and read some of the commentaries. That sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we were reading previously was we heard about Krishna he's entering into Dwarka, and then he's entering into his palaces. You know, and it's back in text 30 it said, Prasada yatra patninam sahasrani chasodasha. And what that means is that he had over sahasra, over 1,000 of these homes, or over 16,000. I'm sorry, because sodasha means 16. So sahasrani, over 16,000 of these palaces and wives. Okay. So that's okay. That's an interesting thought. Haven't heard of anybody else with 16,000 wives or
No.
palaces. And so a question may arise in one's mind. Who are we talking about here? What kind of person is this? Yeah. And if this is your idea of God, well, isn't God beyond all this?
Why does God want all this stuff?
Why does he want all this stuff? Why is he, the things that people want for material enjoyment, why is he so caught up in it? And so we should understand that all the cantos 1 through 9 are preparing us to read the 10th canto, where we hear about Krishna himself, right? That's what Bhagavatam was just meant to help us understand who this person is. Because even the Gita and these other books, even Mahabharata, they're gonna place bhakti, love for God, as like the highest, achievement, or the highest level of consciousness, or the return to our normal pure consciousness. But how do you fall in love with God if you don't meet them, if you don't hear about them, if you don't know about them? So the 9 cantos are building up to help us understand who this person is. But even
it's nice to think of it like that. The 9 cantos are building up. So when you get to that 10th canto, and you fully understand these stories of sweet baby Krishna,
who's naughty sometimes.
Very naughty. We read all about his naughty pastimes last night.
Yeah.
It's very, very naughty.
So
I won't go into it.
Okay. So this information that we're getting here is going to help prepare us for that. So this just dropped on us that, oh, by the way, that person that this whole huge book is building up to, he's got 16,000 palaces and wives. Okay, so now these verses at the end of the chapter are going to help us understand, hey, get it straight. He's not some ordinary person. So text 35 to 39 kind of wrap up the chapter with that kind of info. So let's read those verses straight through. You ready?
Okay. I'm reading those chats, by the way. It seems like your winter bead bag thing could have a market in Finland.
Oh, I bet it would be great there, yeah.
You could have a whole future in manufacturing winter bead bags.
I went to a tailor and had them make it specially. I took a coat and I had the sleeve cut off of it, and they made it out of the sleeve, so it's got that nice grip around the wrist.
Yeah, you could make a fortune, except you're losing a lot of money on all the coats you got to burn through to make them.
Well, you can make 2 out of each one.
He's got closets of one sleeveless coats. Okay. All right. On 35?
Yeah.
All right. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed himself amongst the competent women as if he were engaging in mundane affairs. It appears very normal, right? Text 36.
Hit it.
Okay, sorry. Although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and furtive.
What does furtive mean?
Mara, what does furtive mean?
Sly, I believe.
What is that? Sly?
What?
Sly, yeah.
Okay. Although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, is that a poetic way to put it? Make Cupid give up his bow. And although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they cannot agitate the senses of the Lord.
That's like a heavy verse right there, right?
Yeah, it's poetic and heavy. It also it speaks about Lord Shiva's internal fortitude, right? Although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them. These queens were so beautiful. So we're actually talking about heavenly goddesses also taking birth on the planet.
Yeah, and their beauty is just unparalleled. And so it said that now within the Vedic paradigm there is a Cupid. There's the idea of Cupid, and going by different names.
Is Cupid Greek?
I think so. I'll look it up. Sorry.
I just want to know what the hell she did in that private school.
You don't want to know.
Smoking in the girls' room.
Smoking in the girls.
So,
because you hear this word Cupid a lot. Prabhupada uses it, but it's the same thing. A lot of these cultures, they take these deities or these places like Mount Meru. They have the Greek what do they have in Olympus? You know, they got Zeus from Indra.
Eros.
So they borrow from this culture. We got to understand, like India, when Greece was at its infancy, India was already an established center for education. People would travel all over the world. They can't even trace back the history of India. They try. So anyway, this Cupid reappears, but it's really this god of love, and he shoots his poison arrows into your heart and makes you fall in love. So you're saying these women were so beautiful, or these goddesses were so beautiful that even Shiva, like it would tempt Shiva himself.
Yeah. And Cupid, or Kandarpa, as they say from the Vedic, Cupid, he's throwing down his bow. It's like, I'm supposed to be the one that captivates people, and but I can't compete, right? So it's saying that even though the seductive beauty of these queens is just so, universally the pinnacle, that they cannot agitate the senses of Krishna. So, okay, he's got all these beautiful, incredibly, insanely beautiful wives. But now you're telling me something different, but that actually their beauty doesn't in any way bewilder him or captivate him. That's not what it's about.
The interesting thing is, this is transcendental attraction. And the attraction of the material world is almost a perverse version of this, like a reflection version, right? I'm looking at, like, right now I'm looking at Jose Valdez, I'm looking at Johanna, I'm looking at Nancy Rothman, I'm looking at Parikit. All of these guys I just mentioned, they all have some attraction to Krishna. Big or little, they're thinking, who is this Krishna? I'm attracted, I want to hear about Krishna. In the same sense, there's also an attraction we have in this material world. This attraction to Krishna is the natural attraction of the heart. This is what we're actually trying to reawaken. It's developing an attachment where we start to see Krishna everywhere. Wherever we go in the world, we start to see Krishna. We start to see Krishna in everybody's heart. The attraction of the material world never fulfills the heart. It's not what it appears to be. And so this attraction, we're talking about Lord Shiva and about Cupid and about Krishna himself. This is the real attraction that we're looking for. And this is what's happening to us as we read these pages. We're falling in love with the genuine attraction. Not that we won't be attracted to things in this world. They just won't deliver what they promise, right?
And regarding Krishna's attraction, like, in other words, not being attracted to Krishna, but what is Krishna attracted to? The very name Krishna means attraction, right?
Yeah.
And in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, this is a super important book, and that Srila Prabhupada kind of summarized, or, as the nectar devotion. It opens up by saying that bhakti has these 6 different characteristics.
Right.
Right. And one of them is that it can attract Krishna, right?
Krishna Karshini. That this is what attracts Krishna. Or even it'll be said that it's very rare. That's another one of the characteristics, that it's very rare. Sudurlabha.
Oh, look at you, just dropping the Sanskrit terms. And
I remember this about 30 years ago, and I had to memorize.
Such good classes that Donor Swami gave us.
Yeah.
He really broke it down so nicely. So why is it so rare? Why is pure bhakti so rare? It's because it can control Krishna. And he himself becomes vulnerable to it. He's so moved. His heart is so touched when someone has love for him. So here we're hearing that he's got these incredibly beautiful wives, not just a few. He's got like thousands. And their beauty, their seductive beauty is so powerful that Cupid himself throws down the bow in frustration, that Lord Shiva, who's the most sense-controlled yogi, becomes captivated. But they cannot captivate the senses of Krishna. So what is he captivated by? He's captivated by their devotion. It's not their beauty. Actually, it's the devotion. So anyway, when we'll go back and we'll read some of the commentary to this one, but Prabhupada lays it out nicely there. But let's just finish these verses and
okay. I just want to keep on commenting on this, but let's read.
No, if you want to keep commenting, please go.
Well, it's just like I'm just thinking about the hunger that we have to enjoy the material world never delivers. It's almost like ever see like in a restaurant, Mary, you know what I'm talking about? Like in a restaurant where there's like, you can order, they have fake plates of food. This is what it looks like. If you get the tofu over rice and it's like rubber or it's like formaldehyde over it, you can't really eat it, but that's what it looks like. That's what the material world is. It's like, it seems like it should feed me, but you can't digest it. It's not fulfilling that hunger thing in my heart. It's fake food. Everything in the material world, it appears like that'll do it. That'll make me happy. This will make me happy. And it just has us chasing like shadows or mirages.
That's a good real food. What are those things called, Mara?
I don't know.
You're a caterer. You should know this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't use fake food.
You don't use fake. You got to start using the rubber food, Mara.
Sorry.
If anybody knows a name for that, please share it on the thing. Because I like that, Raghu. That was a good.
You like that? I just made that up.
It looks like real food.
But it's not real food. The material world, everything you look at, everything that you want, if you have some material desire and you just, here's my mantra again. Remember this mantra. Think of it, the good tattoo here. Think it through.
Not a good tattoo.
It is a great tattoo. It's a mug, at least. It's a mug. It starts off with a t-shirt. Then it goes to a mug and then a tattoo. Think it through. Every time you're thinking about something in the material world, well, I like Krishna, I like spirituality, I like this, but there's this cool thing in the material world that I really think, if I just get this thing, think it through.
Okay.
Think the whole damn thing through.
I think it's great advice. I just don't know if it makes a good tattoo, that's all. It's called fake food. Someone just shared here.
Are you kidding? You know what people are getting tattooed on their bodies nowadays? This is a great tattoo. People are getting, Pegasuses, random things on their necks and their foreheads. Okay. Come on. Think it through.
Think the tattoo through or
think material desires through. Think until the very end.
Where does it lead?
Whenever there's a temptation of Maya, don't act on that impulse. Pull back. Okay, you're going to do this? How are you going to feel then? Well, no, I'm feeling pretty good. And then how are you going to feel? And then just think the whole thing through. And then what?
Think it through.
You gotta really analyze the illusions of the material world. If you like Think It Through, give me some feedback, please, on that chat board.
And if you don't like it, please share that as well.
Yeah. If it's helpful, use it. If it's helpful, take any of this stuff and use it. Think the whole damn thing through. Okay. The common materialistic conditioned souls speculate that the Lord is one of them. Out of their ignorance, they think that the Lord is affected by matter, although he is unattached.
Okay.
This is important. The whole Bhagavatam, the whole Mahabharata has Krishna as one of the players, so to speak, in the drama. And the interesting thing is, a lot of the people just see, this Krishna, this prince, this cowherd boy, this naughty kid. They just see him as this person. But the Mahants, the great souls, the Bhishma Devs, right? The Yudhistirs, they say, Krishna, my Lord, he's the Lord of Lords. Right? It's like when you start to see who Krishna actually is, then this whole world becomes like magical. And when we start to see Krishna for who Krishna is, this whole world becomes not different. And we start to see Krishna in everything that we do. We start to see Krishna in all the animals and in all the trees and in every being, all our friends, and then in our enemies. We see Krishna's hand behind everything. It changes our whole goggles of how we see the world. It's a whole new set of lenses, these transcendental lenses we're wearing, practicing bhakti.
Well, you know what? The next text is going to go right to that point, Raghunath.
Let's do it.
Text 38.
I'm a mystic. This is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He's not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by material qualities.
See that?
There we go. Look at Kaustubha sitting there. Pristine, not influenced. Not influenced by the material qualities, not driving and chanting.
But this verse, you see,
I feel bad for Sean Murphy because he was actually doing japa and driving. while we were saying don't.
With a Pegasus tattoo. But if you look at this verse,
I chant and drive. I'm going to just put it out there. I chant and drive sometimes. Sometimes I just got to get those 16 rounds done, and I got to drive kids places.
I mean, we should chant 24 hours a day. So no problem with chanting and driving, but just it's not the ideal way to do that focused meditation.
Like I said, Kaustubha is what's ideal. I'm what's real. And then we try to find some healthy thing in between. And what's Mara? If you're ideal and I'm what's real, what's Mara?
She is super ideal.
Super ideal.
But as I was sharing about this verse, as I was trying to share a thought about this verse, I will attempt again. If you take this verse, I'm going to read it again. This is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities. There's so much right here. It's like if you kind of open the whole thing up and you look at this verse in terms of the entire collection of Vedic literature, the Vedas, the Upanishads, and then ultimately the Puranas, and here like the pinnacle of all of Vyasadev's writings, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we're in the first canto of that, and we're getting the clarification of what the whole yoga thing is all about, because there are paths of yoga where there are paths of yoga where people neglect the form of Krishna, and they become convinced through their readings of the Upanishads that God has no form, because the Upanishads are written in this cryptic way. You could take it that way or more easily misunderstand it that way, and you could think that all form is illusion. Right. And if that's your conclusion, then you say the forms of Krishna or any of the devas, that those forms, they're material. Now they may be in a higher level of material form, like they may be sattvic. And by bringing your mind to these forms, it may be a good first step to kind of get out of your deeper illusion. But then you got to let go of all those forms, and you have to cut yourself off from everything material. You have to, like cold turkey. You have to just turn your back on everything in this material world and cultivate detachment. But what's being said here is that the form of Krishna it says he is not affected by the qualities of material nature, right? It's beyond material. That form is purely transcendental. It has it is not bound by material energy in any way. And if we want detachment, we don't have to do it by trying to, through our own power or strength of renunciation, turning our back on this world. What we can do is we can turn our attention to Krishna. And if we do it, then Krishna's own quality of detachment from the material arises in us. And that's the path of bhakti, right? It's as Rukmini was saying on the show on Sunday morning, it's not about ascending through yogic, accomplishment and pure yogic discipline and by my own strength that I accomplish it, but it's actually by becoming receptive to this mercy and becoming attracted to Krishna. And when one becomes attracted to that pure transcendental form, then one loses the taste and becomes, as is mentioned here, not influenced by the material energy, not influenced by material qualities. So there's a lot, in that verse, a lot to take out of it.
I gotta get my giggles
okay
on today. Yes.
You all right?
Okay.
But there's only one more verse left in the chapter.
38. Okay.
No, that was 38. 39.
Okay. Alrighty. The simple and delicate women truly thought that Lord Sri Krishna, their beloved husband, followed them and was dominated by them. They were unaware of the extent of the glories of their husband, as the atheists are unaware of him as the supreme controller.
So this, we're not going to have time today. I think tomorrow we go back and read from the purports to these verses. But yeah, what?
I couldn't hear you. Did everybody else hear Kaustubha warble? Or was that just me?
Everybody hear me okay? Raise your hand if you heard me okay. Yeah, that was just you, Robert.
Okay, just me, sorry.
So, but I'll repeat what I said, that we're not going to have time to read the commentaries to these verses that we just read today. I think we can do that tomorrow. But this verse has a beautiful commentary. And it speaks of this energy called yogamaya. That you see, there's two types of illusion. One is material illusion, mahamaya it's called, wherein you think I'm the controller and this material world is real and it's meant for my enjoyment, and I'm this body and all that kind of illusion. And then there's the pristine, perfected, illusion that these wives of Krishna are in, that to facilitate the depth of loving exchange, they actually feel like their beauty captivates Krishna, and that it all plays a role in their loving exchange. And so that's a whole nother category of illusion, right? So it's saying that, so the ladies, they felt that he was dominated by them because that facilitates the exchange of love. But ultimately, he's beyond everything. Right? And what's said, except pure love. It's not their beauty that's captivating him, it's their devotion. That work for you? Raghu, are you even paying attention, Raghu? You just look lost.
No, my internet's not working. I can't hear you. Sorry,
Okay.
your face is like freezing in blocks.
I thought you got your thing fixed and everything,
I did get it fixed. I live upstate New York. It's sort of like everything's a little backwards up here.
Okay.
But I bet you said something very beautiful.
Not really. And just trying to share a little something about yogamaya,
Okay. All right. So what else? Forgive me. What else we got now? Which we do? We got only a few minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to me like to try to take on one of these purports right now, we should hold that for tomorrow. So entertain us, Raghu. What you got? What you got for us?
Entertain me. What am I, the court jester? Even the transcendental wives of Lord Sri Krishna did not know completely the unfathomable glories of the Lord. This ignorance is not mundane because there is some action of internal potency of the Lord in the exchange of feelings between him and his eternal associates. I just love this concept. Like, the material world can be of two things depending on our vantage point. When you have spiritual goggles, it's like you're seeing a whole different place out there, right? And then when you have mundane goggles, it just seems like, okay, what is there with this life? We work, we create some story, we pop out a few kids, we try to raise some money, we lose some money, right? We get some more money. I'm getting older, my kids got older, go to my kid's wedding, you know what I mean? What's the material? It's sort of like just going through the motions. When you see it through a spiritual lens, you see, any loss you see as I'm getting purified. I'm getting everything material taken away from me so I can connect even deeper. The whole thing, actually, the whole spiritual journey is quite romantic. And the romance is like it's like you and Krishna. Krishna is your husband. Krishna is your lover. And you are one of the queens of Dwarka, and you're seeing Krishna like this. As we get older, it starts to, I know from my own vantage point of north of 50, it becomes like a more and more romantic relationship that you have with Krishna. What do you think about that?
Sounds very romantic. But it is. It's beautiful. That internal life. Like I said, we're gonna have Satchidananda Maharaj on, and he's really realized on these points. Some of that, it's rare. Like you and I. Some of us, we just really have to focus on seva, right? On doing service, because our minds tend to be distracted. But it's really inspiring to hear about someone who's got a kind of mind that they actually relish the internal life. And if we can get there, at least to some degree, there's really so much to be realized. And so what the kind of stuff that you're talking about, it indicates to me that you got some of this internal life going on, Raghu. And it sounds very romantic, although I know that ultimately your inner life is that of the elderly gopi, not the younger gopi.
Perhaps. Well, I'm excited about Madhu next week. What are the days Madhu's teaching on?
It's up on Patreon, so for those that want to find it, but it's Tuesday from 1 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And
the first one's on music?
The first one's music, and the second one is Ayurveda.
Oh, great.
He has a way to, in an hour and a half, he can share a lot and you get a good intro.
He's got a lot of info. I also want to share that Kaustubha is our guest teacher at our teacher training, our 200-hour teacher training that I do with Bobby Marchand, who's live on the show today. She's a senior teacher at Prema Yoga in Brooklyn. We do this upstate New York, and it's 4 consecutive weekends with some homework in there, and that starts July 17th.
So let me get this straight. Hopefully that might actually be in person if we're not all locked down and everything.
What's that?
Is the idea that ideally that would be in person?
Ideally, we're going to do that in person with real human bodies.
Yeah. And if not, it'll be online?
We haven't crossed that. I'm trying to like project in the future. Like I'm trying to make some plan. So we're moving forward as is. But we'll see. And Mara's usually our cook for our teacher training. We're excited for that. Get that bead bag going with all her various attachments. The blender bead bag. Thanks for everybody. So yeah. Wisdom of the Sage is listener supported. So it's if you want to join that little Patreon party we got going and hear Madhu next week, join us. Patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages, where we host more classes, readings. By subscribing to Patreon, you also get access to our Discord message community, where we get to know each other and share all kinds of relevant content. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, everybody listening on Apple Podcasts or however else. People get podcasts in all different ways. A lot of people don't have iPhones, so I can't say Apple Podcasts exclusively. But if you are an Apple Podcast, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps us build whatever it builds in the podcast community. They start talking about us, and we become relevant in the world. It means a lot. We're planning great guests coming up. And excited about Sunday. Also, if you got a question for us, Saturday's question day. We sleep until 8 o'clock, you lazy guys. We sleep until 8 o'clock. We answer questions. That's always fun. Maybe we'll get Madhu to come in Saturday morning and give a little talk. Go, Stu, you think?
Hey, Raghu, I got my bead bag. Some people were asking to see it.
Well, let's see that bead bag, Stu. Let's see that thing. Look at that beautiful. He's also got this one-armed coat in his closet as well. You're going to love that.
It's really toasty in this thing, Take it inside out.
For everybody living in Florida and the tropics, this is how we do it in upstate or in New York City where it gets very cold. Who would think in ancient times that would make these Nordic bead bags?
Come on, they've been chanting with bead bags forever, Raghu.
Thanks, everybody in Zoom who joined us late. All right, it's time to let this music take over our hearts and our mind. Oh, Sachi Capo's on the show. I hope she's not reading the message board where people are telling her about tattoos. Why is everyone pushing tattoos on my 15-year-old daughter?
You were. She could have one that says "Think it through."
Think it through. Yeah, everybody should get a think it through tattoo except Sachi. Sachi, all you have to do is think it through yourself. You don't have to get a tattoo to prove it. Golden Brown family, welcome. Rebecca Collin Brown.
Who's the Golden Brown family?
I don't know. I want to meet them. I want to see the whole family.
Where are they?
The Golden Brown.
That's what it says.
I wonder if that's their real name.
Golden Brown family. I'm gonna try to find it.
Here we go. Let's just sing this one. Thanks to NASA for representing Ireland. Kamania, good morning. Shri Krishna bolo Jai Ram. Jai Shri Krishna bolo Jai Ram. Forgive me if I lost it a little bit today. Gotta keep better composure. Gotta pull it in. Shri Krishna bolo Jai Ram.